Alright, hello everyone, Simon here. We're playing the Talos principle, and I'm having a great time, but I really should stop looking for stars. I said earlier I'd stop looking for stars, and then I looked for stars, and I spent like an hour looking for one star. So these stars are the extra difficult challenges, puzzles, things. And they're really fun, like they're at the right difficulty level for me to enjoy. But they do take a long time. So I think I might stop trying to do them. Even though it's really entertaining for me, I feel like they're gonna take too long. So let me just save the stars for the end and not do them now. I have been thinking a little bit about the philosophy in this game, and the game developers keep talking about what it means to be human, or what it means to be a person. Not necessarily human, what it means to be a person. And I have thought about it. I'm thinking, really, from a practical point of view, it's really whether you can do the things that other people expect a person should be able to do, one, and also whether other people accept that you are a person, right? So for the first criteria, for example, you say, okay, we're going to give cats human rights. Fair enough. So you give cats human rights, and so then what does that mean? So now cats have all the rights of humans, but then you say, all right, it's voting time. You take your cat to the voting booth, then you ask your cat, do you want to vote for Hillary Clinton or Jeb Bush? And your cat just looks at you and says, meow. The cat doesn't know what's going on, right? So even if you give your cat human rights, it doesn't mean the cat can take advantage of being a human, because your cat doesn't know anything. Like, it's stupid. Like, your cat is not smart enough to do these things. So even if you grant other animals the rights of people, it doesn't mean that they can take advantage of it. So that means that cats cannot be people, because they just don't have the ability to take advantage of the rights that humans can take advantage of. But that is a little bit, I mean, that's not entirely a reliable definition by itself, because as we said, a disabled person can still be a person, a person in a coma can still be a person, a newborn baby is still a person. So these people, they also can't vote. Like, you ask a baby, do you want to vote for Hillary Clinton or Jeb Bush? The baby's just not gonna, what's the baby gonna do? Look at you, look funny, right? So the baby doesn't know what's going on neither. Doesn't mean the baby's not a person. So it's one guideline. It's not a strict criteria for a person. So the other one is whether or not other people recognize you as a person. And for that, I mean, we can look at certain points in history. For example, during slavery in the United States, it was widely considered by the slavers that slaves were not people. That they were animals. Somehow the slaves were animals and not people. And that, I guess, it's their kind of their racist and slavers way to justify enslaving, because they'll feel bad if they were enslaving other people. So by their definition, they weren't people, and therefore they could be slaves. So so the slavers did not accept that the slaves were people, and that in a very terrible but also quite pragmatic way means that the slaves did not have any of the rights of people, simply because other people did not recognize them as such. And I mean, again, that's not to say the slaves weren't actually people. Of course, they had the sufficient intellect to be people. They had human bodies, they have human DNA with their same species as us. So they are people. But because other people don't recognize them as such, in the end, what happens is that they spend their lives being treated as animals. So, I mean, what I'm saying is not so much that if other people don't treat you as a person, then you're not a person. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, even if you are a person, if other people don't treat you as such, then you have a problem, right? And all the civil rights struggles in all their forms really involves people struggling to be treated as equal people. And even if we extend it to other animals, or to robots, or computers, or whatever it is, So like if a robot is as smart as a human and can do all the things that a human can, but we refuse to call them persons, then what are they going to do about it? What are they going to do about it? Nothing. They can't do anything about it unless they want to, I don't know, get into a fight about it or protest or get laws changed. So they would have to fight for it. They would have to have their civil rights kind of struggle to get recognized as equal people. So it's just from a pragmatic point of view, what is a person? What is a person? One, there's the practical abilities of a person, whether you can do it, but that's not a strict criteria. The other one is whether other people recognize you as a person, but that's also not a strict criteria. But just in a general sense, these are the most consequential, I guess, criteria. Because if you can't do one or the other, then it doesn't really make there's no point in being recognized as a human if you don't have one or the other, as it were. So that's what I have so far. So enough talking. Let's go to do some puzzles, and I'm sure the game will talk to us some more. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's the question is not whether I'm a person or whether a robot is a person. The question is whether you grant that thing personhood. I think that's the more important question. The more important question is not whether that thing is inherently a person, but whether you would allow them to be a person. Like if you look at a black person and you say that is not a person, then you're a racist. Like you're a Nazi, you're a slaver. Whereas if you look at a black person and you say, of course a black person is a person, then you're a good person. Like you believe in equality and you believe in rights. So that's more important than the inherent abilities of that person. Of course, they have equal abilities, but what's more important is whether you recognize it, and that is a reflection of you as a person. Anyway, let's read this thing. This thing's beeping at us. Hi. Alright, just books. We have Progress Report 9 from Rob Rakowski. The basic skeleton of the simulation is now running on L. It's not plugged into the AI state yet, or systems yet. Oh my bad. It's not plugged into the AI system yet. But in theory, everything is ready. I guess the next step is to test whether the generated scenarios make sense, or do we wait for the iteration module to something? So, Alright, so they made the AI. Well, they didn't have made the AI yet. They made the simulation. This is the simulation, I guess. And they're gonna put some AI systems into the simulation, I guess. Osiris 3. The first wisdom, the scribe said to the dying man, is that as the world is made of 5 elements, so is the soul of man. Know therefore that in this life you are heart and shadow and name, and also ka and ba. Without all these, you would not be a living thing, or not be a living being, but a thing. The world is made of 5 elements, so is the soul of man. Heart and shadow and name and ka and ba. What is a man without a name who cannot speak of himself? But names are easy. You just choose a name. It's just a sound that you choose to represent yourself. Names are easy. What is a man without a shadow who is not anchored in the world? Well, you don't need to do anything about that. I've never heard of anyone actually losing their shadow, because that's not how light works. What is a man without a heart who can neither feel nor think? So the ancient Egyptians thought that thoughts come from the heart, which is obviously not scientifically correct. So if you kind of read that as what is a man without a mind who can neither feel nor think, that's good. I like that. You need to be able to think. What is a man without a ka who has no essence? I don't know what that means. What is a man without a ba who is not himself but like unformed clay? I don't know what ka and ba mean. Therefore praise Osiris, the king of eternity, the lord of everlastingness, the eldest son of the womb of Nut. Nut is a god, not nuts as in walnuts or acorns or whatever. He who traverses millions of years in his existence. Here the translator is clearly inserting his own beliefs into the text. How do you know? The world is made of 5 elements, so is the soul. Why? How do you know? How do you know it's the translator? Just war excerpt. Democrates Alter, or On the Just Causes for War Against the Indians, by Juan Guiñez de Sepulveda. There is no just cause, except for looting and taking their gold. That's not just cause, it's just a cause. Written in 1547 to justify the Spanish conquest of the Americas. Oh, here we go. The Spanish have a perfect right to rule these barbarians of the New World, who in humanity are as inferior to the Spanish as children are to adults, or women are to men. Oh, good job. For there exists between the two a great difference, as I might even say between apes and men. See, here we go. Here is somebody who is denying personhood to other people to justify their cruel treatment of them. So to justify the enslavement and the conquest and the slaughtering of the Native Americans, this Spanish guy is saying, well, they're just animals, and therefore we can kill them. So personhood is important, not intrinsically to you, but it's important because other people will deny your personhood if they want to abuse you. That's the important part. So it's not about whether you think you're a person, it's whether everyone else thinks you're a person. That's the more important thing. Alright, he says, compare then these gifts with those possessed by these half-men, in whom you barely find the vestiges of humanity, who not only do not possess any learning at all, but are not even literate, and eat human flesh. Therefore, if you wish to reduce them, I do not say to our domination, but to a servitude a little less harsh. It would not be difficult for them to change their masters. Yeah, so in order to justify all kinds of cruelty from one person to another, you just deny them their personhood. And so, you know, on the one sense, I don't care myself whether I'm a person, but on the other hand, I care very much whether other people think I'm a person. Does that make sense? Alright, well, let's go find some puzzle pieces to accumulate, and maybe I instinctively try to find stars and puzzles and things to, like, extra puzzles, or I instinctively try to break the puzzles, which I really should stop doing because we don't really have we don't really want to spend too much time wandering around. This is kind of cool though, like the old walls. Alright, what are you beeping at? Searching for locally cached resources, body and soul and soma. Alright, body and soul. But it is commonly supposed that the Egyptians believed the soul to live as long as the body continued undissolved, and therefore tried this method of eluding death. Alright, so as long as the body stuck together, they believed that the soul will live on, which is why they mummified themselves, right? Could the wise Egyptians, said Nikaya, think so grossly of the soul? If the soul could once survive its separation, what could it afterwards receive or suffer from the body? The Egyptians would doubtless think erroneously, said the astronomer, in the darkness of heathenism and the first dawn of philosophy. The nature of the soul is still disputed amidst all our opportunities of clearer knowledge. Some yet say that it may be material, who nevertheless believe it to be immortal. Nope, nope, and nope. There is no soul. It's just a manifestation of your consciousness, of your mind. Soma from Sunway Yang. Subject names. Names are a funny thing. I remember how much we struggled to come up with a name for our project. All serious scientists name their projects by just translating them to Greek or Latin, right? Corpus made me think of some horrible disease, so we used the Greek word instead, soma, quite appropriate. But then, since we needed corporate funding, we had to come up with a backronym. You have to. Corporations love backronyms, you know. They even sent us a list of buzzwords, heavy suggestions to help us get started. Stuff like self-sufficient, orthostatic modular android, sustainable, observant, mechanized anthropoid, skeuomorphic, omni-adaptable, mobile anthropomaton. It's a robot, alright? It's a robot. Now, after a while, we got so frustrated that we started getting silly. Saber-toothed, overexcited murder android. That sounds cool. Sentient orthopedic monkey automaton. Strange ogres menacing assistobot. Assassobot. Superb octopod marinades apelings. Satisfying overcooked mint alligator. Stinky orthological meal allocator. Scroink oaf minky egg. Stupid, obscure, meaningless acronyms. That's a good one. In the end, all ended up hating the name Soma just because we had so many fights about it with the sponsors. So when Alexandra told us the story about the Talos principle, something caught on. I don't know whether it really fits, but I kind of like it. Oh, they must be talking about Elohim. Or maybe they're talking about me, I don't know. Alright, names. Whoa, that was a big glitch.